You may see different faces on different days because they're helping out in another branch.
The indigenous Lenape Native Americans lived in this neighborhood for thousands of years before my ancestors settled here in 1677. Only the Lenape wouldn't have called it a neighborhood then. Actually, they called it Kingsessing, which means place where there is a meadow. The Swedish people started taking over the land, and they turned it into Kingsessing. Obviously, no one alive today was actually there to remember this story, but the memory of it has been passed down from generation to generation, whispered in my ear by my grandmother, ashamed, uncovered, typed, made real by a Lenape man named Jim Remington, who I emailed back and forth. The center of the Lenape village was down by the Schuylkill, near where the University of Pennsylvania is. But they came around this way all the time to hunt and pick food in the meadows. According to Jim, there used to be blackberries and blueberries right here where we stand. They also planted big gardens here. Where that house is across the street, there was a plot of squash, sunflowers, corn, and beans. When the colonizers first showed up, it seemed like everyone might be able to share the land. When the Swedish set up a town near where the airport is today, the Lenape got involved in the fur trade. Well, it wasn't long before William Penn showed up on the scene. He was my grandma's third cousin by marriage, 4 times removed. He claimed that King Charles, some rich guy 5,000 miles away in England, said that this land was his. My ancestors couldn't understand that to the Lenape, the land didn't belong to anyone. That a person selling the land was as strange an idea as putting air in a bag and selling it. They tried to explain, but William Penn took the land anyway, convincing them to sign a contract and giving them a little cash. And he started building the city of Philadelphia, setting up churches and houses and banks where my great-great-grandfathers would work. At the same time, the smallpox disease was running wild around this place like the swine flu. Worse, in a few years, the Europeans had killed thousands of Lenape with the disease. 80% of the native people were dead. The survivors were devastated. The city of Philadelphia was growing, and the white people were hungry for more land. The authorities came to the villages, guns loaded, fires burning in their eyes. They attacked the village, and they took the last remaining Lenape to Ohio, and eventually to Oklahoma. The people's spirit was strong, though, just like the people who live here today. They were determined to keep their culture and teach their children the truth. We can never forget that this land belongs most to the people that take care of it, not the people who try to steal it to make a buck.
By the way I see it, the colors were in small pockets. We were from 45th Street, I say, to 50th, because that's as far as we were allowed to venture when I was coming up. And the only reason we were allowed up to 50th Street was because of church. Remembering correctly, from 45th on back, say all the way to Center City, coming over the market across 50th, on out to Darby area was white. See, in comparison, the color pocket was small. Now, there were really no interracial problems around here, believe it or not, and the few whites that were left, well, everybody was friendly to everybody. I know on this block. But see, before the colors start moving in, it was strictly all white. The colored children could not utilize Kingsessing playground. They had to utilize 48th Street playground. They used to have baseball all the time over here at Kingsessing in the summer, and a black boy couldn't go in there and watch a game without being in the company of a full-blown man in water to go in and sit on the grass like everybody else and watch the games. And afterwards, when it was over, they had to get right out. They couldn't linger in the playground. See, for the most part, we just stayed with our own. We utilized what we had. Except for, we would have liked to have gone swimming, but we couldn't utilize the pool. Sorry to tell you this, but a lot of the white people that lived around here in this area did not like the blacks, and they were running from them. Because as soon as one puts a foot in the door, then the whites started running. I guess that's just the prejudice bit. But there was really no interracial problems, no fights or name calling and stuff. It was all inward. I forgot who was here. They moved away from here to the suburbs. But in the late 50s and early 60s, by the 70s, this was all predominantly black anyway. And now they just running back into the city trying to take back the property because it was expensive out there. My parents moved in here at 50th and Kingsessing in April of 1960. My mother was on the lookout for a house because she wanted to have what was an old southern word, a homestead, so that her children, grandchildren, and down the line would always have a place to stay, you know, regardless of what.
On August 28, 1963, 300,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. to protest for jobs and freedom. The whole country watched as Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech, and African American people took another stand for civil rights.
When they had the march in Washington, I was home taking care of my child. I wanted to go. I really wanted to go. But I didn't have anyone to watch Tracy because everyone else was going. So I had to be content to be at home. I was next door at my neighbor's house and we were talking and whatnot, listening to it on the radio. I thought it was great. I was glad that our people were getting together and making a stand and backing one another, sticking together instead of being so divided. Because we have been a very divided people, to tell the truth. That was one event where even those that sat back and did nothing came into focus and support. I figured change was coming, but as I did remark on those things was that it was going to be still pretty hard. A lot was still going to have to be done.
My name is Eric Graham and I go to school at St. Francis.
My name is Jasmine Barry and I go to school at St. Francis. My name is Diana Exum and I go to school at 51st and Greenway. My name is Aaliyah Richardson and I go to school at Public Colleges. My name is Marcia Burns and I go to school at BB Colleges. My name is Akira Foster and I go to school at BB Colleges.
My name is Tanea Exum and I go to school at BB.
I'm Kevin Walker and I go to school at BB Colleges. I'm Shania Burns and I go to school at BB Colleges.